Hey, so I want to talk more about that concept of being a light. And so I found these verses in Matthew 5:13 to 16 that I want to read. It says, "You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt has lost its taste, how can it be made salty? It is no longer good for anything but to be thrown out and walked on by people when the walkways are wet and slippery. You are the light of Christ to the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden, nor does anyone light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. Let your light shine before men in such a way that they may see your good deeds and moral excellence, and recognize and honor and glorify your Father who is in heaven." So what does it mean that it says that if salt loses its saltiness, it has no purpose? And I also found these verses in 2 Timothy 1 verse 6, where it says, "I'm writing to encourage you to fan into a flame and rekindle the fire of the spiritual gift God imparted to you when I laid my hands upon you." And so I was kind of thinking it like, when you're married and you go into marriage counseling, often the first time they say to you is, have you still been like romancing each other? Like when you're in a relationship, you romance each other, but sometimes when you get married, you stop, like, you forget to buy your wife flowers just randomly just because, or you just forget to like show her how much you care and how much you love her because you're just kind of into it already and you're already married. And they'll often say that you need to like rekindle the love that you first had when you were dating by like still dating even though that you're married. And there's a couple other ways that, so in those verses in 2 Timothy 1:6, it says fan into flame in one version, or kindle anew, kindle afresh, stir up, rekindle, keep alive, make full use, or keep ablaze. And one of the things that I read online was it was talking about how if you were on a camping trip and it was really cold outside and you had a fire going and you woke up in the middle of the night and the fire was out but there was still a little bit of embers and you were like freezing, you wouldn't just like be like, oh well, that fire's enough. You would go over to that fire and you would do something about it to get it rekindled. And if there was enough there, you could just like blow on what was there and provide it with air to get it going again. And so that's how it like related it to us with faith, that this faith life is something that we need to keep rekindling day after day after day. It's not something that just kind of like sticks. We need to actually like work and be committed to it to make it stick. And then by doing that, we have light inside of us that gets to spread to the world around us that needs that light. And so one time when I was worshiping, it was a really good vision that I had that described that. And it was like I was looking at the stars in the sky, except there were yellow stars and there were gray stars. And I was kind of like, why are there gray stars? Like, why aren't they just all yellow? And then as I was having this vision, I was watching how like the yellow stars, if they bumped into a gray star, then that gray star would turn yellow. And then if that one that turned yellow bumped into another gray star, it would turn yellow. And like it was just such a really good illustration because I could just really see that in my mind of like the stars going to one another, just like bumping into each other and just turning each other bright and lighting each other brightly. But like that doesn't start until one star itself is yellow. And so like it's really important in this faith life to keep our light in us shining. There's that saying of like, we can't pour out to others if our own cup is filled, like is empty. I mean, like we need to fill our own cup first to overflowing so that when we go out into that world, that overflowing light is what the world sees. If we're like not really spending time with the Lord and not really praying and not really like passionate and close to Him, that cup inside of us is going to be like smaller and smaller. And then when we go to do things in the world, it's like we're operating out of our own strength because we don't really have enough of like God's strength inside of us that we're trying to like spill over, but it's not really working because there's not really enough. And like I find it infectious. Like the more that we fill up that like cup, the more it kind of expands and we just want more and more and more. And then we get to like explode that light to the world around us. And so I just encourage you with that today to keep passionate, to keep a flame, and to just keep persevering in it. And just to remember that it's like any other relationship that you need to work on, that that you need to just rekindle every day and every moment, and to find that passion and to find what you need to get closer to Him, because it's only just going to fill you up more and then allow you to be an even greater light. And it says that in these verses that as our light shines in that way, that's what brings glory to God. And so that's a pretty amazing thing.